Now I'll describe before you are the fungal infections. And the first one is like Tinea pedis, which is called by Trichophoton rubrum. It will be involving the nails of the person. The nails will become yellow, unhygienic. You'll have to use a KOH mount in this case for identification. Then is Tinea capitis. Now, Tinea capitis will have this patchy loss of hair present, and what you will also be able to see is called as a black dot sign. What you will also be able to see here is called as a black dot sign, which is diagnostic of Tinea capitis. Why it is important is to know is that when you look at the lesion here, you will notice that all the hair that are lost are of like this. There's a complete loss of hair, I would say. And the hair that are broken off are at a particular level. I mean, hardly any hair are seen, and if whatever are visible, they are of the same length. If they give you an image of a teenager, not a small child, but a teenager, and there are hair which are gonna be broken off at different lengths present, and then this, he says the person is also having nail biting, there is no black dot sign that can be seen. Like this is a very clear demarcation that is present. So hair broken at different lengths, absence of black dots and nail biting, then it would be a impulse control disorder. This impulse control disorder is by the name of trichotillomania. But for Tinea capitis, the black dot sign and the hair at the same level would be identified by you. Then are two terms, jock itch and Dobie itch. So jock itch is like jockey underwear, right? So it's like the guy is living in a humid area. He's a salesman. He has to go for field work daily. Lot of sweating in the crevices of the body. So jock itch is what is called as Tinea cruris, and Dobie itch is Tinea corporis, also casually called as ringworm, no, where the person would be having itching over lateral aspect, trunk of the body, or on the trunk of the patient. So the management of all of these is with topical terbinafine. And earlier we were using griseofulvin, especially for those who are having that nail infection. But now even for the nail infection, he recommends the use of terbinafine only. Now, after talking about these common Teneas, I will mention regarding Tinea versicolor. Now, Tinea versicolor will be presence of these hypopigmented patches in a dark skinned person. Like in very fair patient Caucasians, it is opposite. It is hyperpigmentation. But in an Indian skin, you will notice that there would be in an Indian skin, which is relatively dark, you will notice this hypopigmented areas present, which is caused by Malassezia globosa. Earlier, this was caused by Malassezia furfur. Now it's caused by Malassezia globosa. And the highlight of this would be that KOH mouth, where the characteristic term would be mentioned, that spaghetti, and a meatball appearance would be present here, along with that Wood's lamp appearance. The Wood's lamp appearance would be golden yellow, not apple green. Traditionally, the apple green word is like a favorite of ours. This time it is like golden yellow, and for treatment it is selenium sulfide shampoo and ketoconazole that would be used. And this again would help in resolution of the lesion in a short possible time frame. The only thing is, do not mix up pityriasis rosea with Tinea versicolor. For versicolor, remember versatile color, like Indian skin is dark, and the versatile color corresponding to that is hypopigmentation. I'll say that again. Versicolor is versatility of the color. This is picked primarily because of Malassezia globosa, that in a dark Indian skin there would be hypopigmented areas present. Whereas for pityriasis rosea, the word was rosea, that was a pinkish appearance that was present with the herald patch. And apart from those other manifestations were Christmas tree appearance, colorate scales present. And along with that, I also mentioned hanging curtain sign for describing the, like you can see this irregular appearance, no? Like when you fold the curtain, no? When you fold the curtain, it will have that irregular appearance present. So that's like the word hanging curtain sign described there. For Tinea, it is mainly trichophyton. For Tinea, it's mainly trichophyton. And when it comes to Tinea versicolor, it would be answered by you as Malassezia globosa. Next up are bacterial skin infections. The first one, the paper mentioned that the guy went to a local barber shop, and after getting this shave made from a local barber, because the guy had not cleaned his ostra or the instrument that they use for shaving, where maybe the sweat and grime of the previous person was also present. So the guy can get infected with Staph aureus on his face. So the lesion that is present here, the lesions that are present here is called as psychosis barbae. And I'm very sure that if you ever got your shaving done at some local barber shop, then you might have ended up with this infection like the one that are shown here, that is psychosis barbae. The second one is a image of a foot of a beggar. Like this guy, he is sitting outside a temple. Normally doctors don't go to pray. So maybe you went to the pray just before the exam, and you came across this beggar who was having flies coming on the foot of this person. So he had covered it with a flimsy piece of cloth. But you notice that through that flimsy piece of cloth, there was like multiple draining sinuses that were present on the foot of this person. So initially you thought this is Madura foot, and I've described those Madura foot organisms in microbiology. But in this particular case, when I got the pus of this person evaluated, like I told him, I work at a nearby government medical college, he can get himself treated free of cost there. So this person, when he came to the OPD, I got his pus culture done, and the pus culture showed that there was Staph aureus present. So you can understand that now the diagnosis would not be called as Madura foot, but would be called as botromycosis. Botromycosis, again, why the examiner is asking you this is because the name is mycosis, so the impression comes as if we are dealing with some kind of a fungal infection, but it's a bacterial infection that's happening here, which mimics the appearance of a Madura foot. And I would also like to draw parallels here, like I have spoken about mycosis fungoides, which is not a fungal infection, but is rather caused by cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. Then I've spoken about mycosis in the medicine part. I've spoken regarding mycotic aneurysm. Mycotic aneurysm is seen in infective endocarditis, where the infection from the heart will go to the brain of a person. And then you can notice a lesion with respect to a hair follicle. So this big lesion, pustule that is present with respect to a hair follicle would be called as furunculosis. The last one that I've shown is having hypopion. This is having a pus at the bottom. So the physical appearance is of a big blister, and that blister is having pus in it, and this pus is like settling at the bottom. So I'm going to call it a hypopion sign. This is again caused by Staph aureus, guys. All the 4 lesions that are currently shown for this particular horizontal representation are caused by Staphylococcus aureus, and this is called as bullous impetigo. Why again this is important is because traditionally we read about impetigo caused by streptococcus. I'll show you that also, that is having that honey crust appearance, but this one is caused by Staph aureus. So impetigo, if they ask you, if the only word given is impetigo, answer it as streptococcus. But if he says the word bullous impetigo, then answer it as Staphylococcus aureus in a patient. And now you can see that honey crust lesions on the lip of this person, above the lip of this patient. So if you come across this kind of a presentation where a honey crust appearance is present with respect to the lips of a person or chin of a person or face of a person, then you can answer definitely as impetigo, which is caused by streptococcus bacteria. Now we will look at a lesion that is just adjacent to it, that is gonna be having this S-char kind of a presentation. I mean, normally we read about S-char with respect to scrub typhus, but here I'm describing multiple S-chars on the skin. This guy was having sepsis. The lesion here would be called as ecthyma gangrenosum. This ecthyma gangrenosum is because this guy got a infection from the hospital environment. There are 2 nasty bacteria in the hospital environment. One is Staph aureus, second is Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So if they give you an image where a person is said to be having recovered from sepsis, the guy is lucky. Most patients with sepsis will die. This guy has recovered, and he is having these multiple local areas which are black. These are like S-char like appearances which you can see at the moment. So the word is S-char like appearances that you can see, and the guy has recovered from a sepsis. Then I'll say the diagnosis of the patient is ecthyma gangrenosum. There's another lesion that I'll discuss with you, has been asked in your exam, pyoderma gangrenosum. That name will come up like in the later part of the discussion, but pyoderma gangrenosum is what we see with inflammatory bowel disease and rheumatoid arthritis. In fact, let me just write it here also, because in the recent exam, pyoderma gangrenosum was asked. The lesion will be on the shin of the person, and there was no mention of inflammatory bowel disease. Then it is going to be rheumatoid arthritis. Then for erythrasma, I've just mentioned it once again because it is with the bacteria, that is Corynebacterium minutissimum, and this organism causes that porphyrin production, and because of that porphyrin production, there was a coral red appearance on a Woods lamp examination with topical erythromycin and clindamycin being used for these patients. Next up, the lesion that you can see multiple pus points present. There are a couple of nodules that can be seen here. There's a lot of scarring close to the nose of the patient. There are comedones which can be seen. So the diagnosis in this case is obviously acne vulgaris. The reason why acne vulgaris occurs is primarily it's driven by androgens. Along with that, there would be sebum excess, follicular plugging, and then there's a proliferation of a bacteria, which is like the terminal event happening, that is formerly called as Propionibacterium acnes. Now they've changed the name to a cuter name, that is QT bacterium acnes. Previously the name was Propionibacterium acnes. Now for management of acne vulgaris, traditionally what you need to use is just use benzoic acid topically. Along with this benzoic acid, you can be adding like clindamycin topically or topical erythromycin. If in spite of that acne is not improving, you can give oral minocycline to the patient. So most of the time with a combination of like benzoic acid, clindamycin, minocycline, good quality face washes, you would be able to handle the acne part relatively better. But if in spite of using all this treatment, the acne part is still stubbornly present, then you might have to use drugs which I mentioned inferiorly. That would be like retinoids like tretinoin, tazarotene and adapalene. Among these, from the perspective of pregnancy, obviously none of them are to be used in pregnancy, but then in pregnancy also we have various categories. So one, if he says category X molecule is, category X would mean that it is never ever to be used in pregnancy. For others, he will use the word unsafe in pregnancy, but category X, if he says specifically, then it is tazarotene, others are like tretinoin, then adapalene and these are three molecules which are not recommended in pregnancy, but the one that you would answer specifically for pregnancy category X is tazarotene. Then I would also like to mention that sometimes you might be having a female patient with PCOD. She'll be having like this jawline acne present, and along with that, like it will worsen with respect to periods also. So premenstrual worsening of the acne, jawline acne present extensively. If there is a hormonal cause, one of the leading hormonal causes is PCOD. So you will be starting these patients on OCPs, or you can start these patients on like cyproterone acetate, and along with the OCP, because see in PCOD it's like the testosterone part that is relatively higher as compared to estrogen part which is lesser. So I would like to start this patient on cyproterone acetate if he especially mentions in the question that it is a hormonal basis of severe nodulocystic acne occurring on the jawline of a lady and is worsened with respect to her periods, then we'll be using cyproterone, that is OCP based molecules, and spironolactone. Spironolactone again causes activation of the estrogen receptors. It acts on the E2 receptors. E2R basically means that activates the E2 receptors and thereby acts by like indirectly causing an increase in the estrogen level. That explains the side effect of gynecomastia also, that is caused by spironolactone, but here it would be useful for my it will be beneficial for my patient. Now for the next lesion that you will notice, obviously you can pick up that rhinopyma, that potato nose appearance, that is okay, but you can notice the lesions are still looking like acne only. But here he will mention a very peculiar thing, which is that whenever a person will be drinking hot drinks or person is standing in the sunlight, that is when there would be like worsening of this acne. There are no comedones that are present and there is worsening present. So in this particular case, I'll be answering this as acne rosacea. Acne rosacea as a disease will involve the convexities of the face. Convexities would be like the forehead, on the cheeks area, on the chin area of a patient. So the lesion here that I'm talking about is called as acne rosacea. The reason for this lesion, the reason for acne rosacea is said to be associated with demodex mites. Now, what are these demodex mites? They cannot be seen with the naked eye. They can be seen with the microscope. They feed on sebum. They feed on the dead cells of the skin and are present on our skin, but overgrowth of these demodex mites is associated with development of acne rosacea, and a couple of these patients in the long run might end up with like the nose involvement that would be like a big potato nose, that is called as rhinopyma. So two types of acne is what I mentioned, especially with the association for QT bacterium acnes, that this was included in the list of bacterial infections of the skin.